Hey, thanks for joining me in our resume redo. This resume that is shown here says John Doe resume. What you're going to be able to do here shortly is be able to edit this, and you can make it whatever you want to make it. So you just type in John Doe the second resume, and you can change it up very simply. Moving down here to the resume, I'm going to show you the entire resume first. So the entire resume is shown below. Now, there's a ton of different ways to turn around and drive your resume or write your resume, but typically you're going to keep your resume on one sheet of paper. And you're going to want to try to fill that resume as much as you possibly can, utilizing all the white space. I would probably say that this resume is about 90 to 95% complete. This white space right down here, you could certainly add a little bit more information, and I'm going to show you how to do that in just a few seconds. But once you head into the classroom, you're going to be able to edit this, and you're going to be able to put, if your name is Susie, I like using capital letters because it makes your name stand out a little bit. Susie Ann Johnson, right? You're going to be able to edit it, and then you'll be able to go ahead and take this highlight off, which I'll remove right now. And now, oops, didn't remove that, which you'll be able to remove and then just change to obviously clear highlight, and you're going to be back to normal, right? So you can change this to whatever you want. If you don't live on a drive but you live on a lane and you want to change your address, then go ahead and change it. This is free to use, super simple, and then you're going to write in your information. If I want to highlight this entire area and take the yellow highlight off of it, I can take the yellow highlight off of it, and this is what you're going to send to an employer. So this entire section here, I like to bold it because then it stands out and pops a little bit more. You want to make sure that you capitalize a street name, capitalize the city. You can abbreviate the state, and then you're going to write down your full email address. If your email address um, is something personal and maybe not appropriate, you might want to change it. Probably avoid putting the birth date in there because then somebody can tell how old you are and potentially discriminate against you because of your age. Um, then obviously you want to put your phone number down below, and then I like adding this line just to kind of separate it away from the heading of your resume. So that's really simple. After this video or during this video, you'll be able to edit your heading. Just make sure it's all in there correctly. When it comes to streets, if you live on a boulevard, I like spelling out the word boulevard because it is a business letter. And then kind of going back to what your goals are. If your long-term career goal is to join the teaching field, right? You might want to put career objective. If you're applying at a daycare, maybe it's called a job objective and not a career objective. And maybe your goal is to pick up a, you know, part-time position, part-time position in the educational field working with children. Right? And I like adding a little bit more of a descriptor onto there, like working with children, because then it defines who you are and what you want to do. Your resume, assuming you're applying in the same field, is going to stay relatively consistent, and you don't need to change your skills and abilities. Now, if you're applying at a welding company and you're applying at a daycare, then you're going to want to change your resume around. But your cover letter is the item that's going to typically change. These sections that I have laid out for you as an example are exactly that. They're an example. If you would like to put your education up next because you find that that's most important, then you're going to copy and paste this entire section. You're going to add it right here above your work experience. If you're a high school student, your education might be the second category. If you've been if you're a little bit older, potentially you have more experience. Maybe you want to highlight your work experience over your school because your school is less important the older you get. So you would add in work experience. So for this one, work experience is at Dick's Sporting Goods, August 18th to present, which means that you're still currently working there. And then your job title is the assistant manager, right? If you have room or need to fill out more information on your resume, you could always put a contact person here, or you could always put an address here. But I think this is pretty clear and concise. And then your work experience is listed in reverse chronological order, which in essence means your most recent job first. So this first one is August 18th to present. Then previously you worked at Target from August 2014 to July 2018. And then looking at it right here between July and August, um, they may question whether you had a little bit of a gap in your work history, right? If you worked up until August, they may not see that gap because you ended in August, you started in August, and there's no gap or red flag in your work history section. Okay. And I like aligning these dates. And you can either align dates or you can turn around and align degrees. So, for example, your next section could be education, and education could be moved all around. But maybe you graduated from UIC, you received a bachelor's degree in physical education, and the only reason I abbreviated this education is so that it could fit onto one line, or else I would have spelt it out. The next one in reverse chronological order as well for Harper Junior College. Um, you graduated with an associate's degree here, right? Going down to the next few sections, okay? These are completely up to you in regards to how you name them. I wrote classroom management here just as an example, but this could be listed as skills and abilities. Um, Skills and abilities. And then underneath that, if you see that they're all lined up here on this tab, and all of these right here, underneath skills and abilities, underneath student achievement, underneath um, hobbies and interests, these are all abbreviated proof statements, right? That prove that you are who you say you are, and they're all fragmented sentences. So, for example, to obtain a part time position in the education field working with children, I wouldn't put a period here because it's a fragmented sentence, so you can just delete that. We're not writing a resume in paragraph form. This is a typical resume, maybe looked at for 30 seconds to a minute, right? So you don't need long, blocky paragraphs describing yourself. But if somebody looks at this and they know that you're applying in the daycare, they may say skills and abilities, successfully implement clear rules and boundaries in the classroom. Create a positive learning environment for all students. Behavior is handled in the classroom and students buy into expectations, right? Now, maybe since you're writing those down as skills, maybe you didn't work at Target. Maybe you worked at Jones. Well, let's see here. This could be Target, right? And maybe this here could be Jones Daycare, right? And then underneath that, you want to make sure that you tab it so it's all neat and consistent, right? And then instead of assistant manager, maybe your position was um, daycare provider, right? So you want to make sure that there's consistency in your work, right? And obviously, for the purposes of this resume, I'm making this information up as I go, but you want to make sure that you're consistent in your work. So those three are relatively simple. If you're stuck, or let's say I want to add a fourth one here, right? I'm going to tab over, I'm going to find this, and I'm just going to hop into Google. This is really simple, and I'm going to type in action words for resumes. Okay, and here we go. First one, 185 action words. That'll make your resume shine. 195 action words. Or heck, here it is. I'm a picture guy, and I want to turn around and find these action words for resume building. There's a ton of them. I'm going to open this up. Oops. I'm going to make this really large so I can see it. I don't know, like this website so much. So maybe I don't like that. Maybe I'm going to go back and I'm going to click on that first link I saw. There we go. Let's see here. So I go 195 action verbs. And remember, you're starting these because they're called proof statements. And this is on Indeed, ironically, which is a really good website if you're looking for a job, right? So I'm going to scroll down, find my action words, and here we go. So I want to find an action word that starts my next proof statement that relates to teaching. So I'm going to go enacted and endeavored, established, exceeded, founded, pioneered, overhauled, sharpened, splattered. Um, None of those words seem to ring out to me, so I'm going to keep going. Developed, executed, expanded. There's one for you. So expanded made a lot of sense to me, right? Assuming it did, and I would just go ahead and start here. Expanded, or how about this? Helped expand Jones Daycare from 6 kids to 12 kids in 2 years. And then just assuming that I was there for 2 years, let's go back up. Yep, 2008 to, let's say, present. So let's go 3 years. I'm writing this in the year 2021. Okay, so that's relatively simple, right? And maybe instead of a job objective, since that's where my resume is leading, I'm going to type it in as a career objective. And instead of applying for a part-time job, maybe I'm applying for a full-time job in the educational field working with children. Okay, um, so perfect. So now all of a sudden I have 4 proof statements, and I would probably want to have 4 proof statements underneath student achievements, although I can name this anything else I want, right? Um, but let me just read these off here. Students have a high expectations of respecting each other in the class. Goals and achievement are driven into each student in class. Unique ability to get along well with a wide variety of students, and students are continually provided opportunities to improve their grades, right? Or grade. So that fits, right? That fits me, and that's a really quick, brief summary. Jumping down here, hobbies and interests. Um, maybe you're interested in coaching basketball. Maybe you're interested in motivating children or students to reach their goals. Maybe you're interested in learning the business side of um, daycare operations. I don't know what it is. That's just a fictitious or made up statement, but find out what you're interested in. Make sure that you take an assessment in regards to what your skills are, and then come down here and find out hobbies and interests. Write those down using proof statements. If your hobbies and interests could be enjoy collecting, I guess these don't need to be capital. That could just be students coaching basketball. Enjoy collecting coins in my spare time. I don't know what your interest is or your hobby is, but as an employer reads this, right, these here are pertinent to the job that you're applying for, right? The hobbies and interests just show that you're a well-rounded person, right? And obviously, on the very, very bottom there, that jumped into the second page, right? And there's a lot of different ways I could fix that, okay? Let's say I fix that by, let's say moving these a little bit closer together or moving this line up. That actually probably just did it. And then I move this back down to space it out. Right, and let's see if that jumps into that next line. Yep, I fit it onto one page. I utilized 100% of my resume white paper. And then I would go ahead and review this. If all of a sudden the word here isn't student achievement, maybe you're putting down volunteer experience. It really depends on the categories that are most important to you, and then ranking them based on importance. I'm going to change this back to student achievement just based on the or the resume that this is. Student achievement. Okay. So you can mix that up. There's a ton of different categories. And if you see over here, here's the different categories that I have. And you can certainly change this around. If you're a young kid and you remember, if you don't have that work experience, you can come down here and focus on your skills and abilities, right? So you could put your skills and abilities up here in that top section and then move work experience all the way down to the bottom. Or heck, if you don't have any work experience, you might want to move work experience down to the bottom and then just type in volunteer experience, right? Remember, mowing lawns, babysitting, shoveling snow, those are all considered work experience, even if you're not paid for it, right? Volunteer work is work experience, right? When somebody says, "Hey, can you come over and watch my dog?" or "Can you come over and watch my house?" and they don't pay you, it's still considered work experience because it shows that you have responsibility because somebody believes in and trusts you, right? So that's a really quick sample of your resume. And what we will be doing is we will be adding this into the classroom. Inside of the classroom, you will be able to utilize this. You will be able to edit this any way you want. And it's a really clear, concise, simple format to turn around and write your resume. Going down here real quick before I let you go, hobbies and interests. Very simple again. Hobbies and interests for your resume. Okay? This isn't very complicated. Writing, blogging, podcasting, marketing, learning new languages, photography, right? Listing hobbies and interests on your resume. There's a ton of resources out here. Go ahead and hop on. There it is, Indeed again. Um, there we go. Cooking and baking, exercising and healthcare, taking care of your body, outdoor activities, team sports, individual sports, gaming, art, travel, nature, social causes, whatever they may be, those do not need to be pertinent to the position you're applying for. If I'm applying to become a daycare helper or full-time daycare, these don't have to be pertinent. Your skills and abilities, those should be pertinent or those should relate to the position that you're applying for. If I'm applying at 10 different daycares, my resume can stay relatively the same. But if I'm applying at 5 daycares and then I'm applying at 5 welding companies, my career objective is going to change and my skills and abilities are going to change for my welding company. If I'm applying it as a welder, um, you know, these may not matter to that particular person or to that particular company. So make sure that you adjust your resume based on the position that you're applying for. Okay. Thanks for joining me. Make sure that you check out our cover letter video, our cover letter examples, and hopefully this helps you in your career research, in your career pursuits. Make sure that you check out mycareerclass.com and you also hit that like and subscribe button. We would surely appreciate it. Hopefully this helps. Thanks so much.